Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to chat with you guys a little bit about, something I've come to terms with over the years with my own bench training and everything else. As someone who always struggled with building a big bench, benches always come hard to me. I've also had periods of time to where I suffered from shoulder problems and other stuff, and almost all of it tended to stem from lack of range of motion on a variety of exercises, right? Losing mobility. And the thing that I want to say here is that the reason ranges of motion and mobility matter so much when we're talking about building a big bench, if you're not just super gifted at it, is because we have to get bigger, right? We have to get thicker to build a big bench. And yeah, people say, well, you have to eat your way to it. No, that's one method. I don't think that's the case, because some people have had some crazy benches, some pretty lightweight classes. Right? They did obviously some bulking and cutting, but they had massive pecs, massive triceps, all that stuff. But what you'll see me doing here is the stuff I've geared more and more towards, of doing these hard variations of things. Doing pause benching with a flat back, wide grips, same thing on the incline, pausing everything, doing these long ranges of motion, getting into lengthened positions. Working more and more here with even my tricep work as I do pullovers, and I'm working on shoulder mobility, and we'll see where that's at by the time this video comes out, because I've only started recently doing some of that as I'm making this. And keep in mind, guys, I'm about 70 videos ahead in terms of what I make versus when it hits. So, this is stuff I've done in the last week. You'll see me doing that wide grip, flat back benching, wide grip pause incline work, doing these extensions, trying to get a good range of motion here. I'm going to work on that even more. But here's the thing with all of it. All of these put the muscles into lengthened positions. We're chasing a lot of range of motion. As opposed to what we might do in equipped powerlifting, to where it tends to really just be about the triceps. Not saying the other muscles don't matter, but historically that's always been the thing, and you'll see the guys who build the big equipped benches and then they take the shirts off later and they're strong, but it's like, yeah, but they spent years and years building that equipped bench and they still worked all the muscles. I don't think that's the best approach. I don't think that's the best approach if we're going to go raw. We really do need big pecs in addition to bigger triceps. Now, granted, one reason my bench has always lagged is I haven't always had the best chest or tricep development, compared to other muscles in my body. It's a reason I was really strong at rows and pull-ups. It's a reason I pulled, was pulling over 600 pounds and barely benching, 300, right? I've always had a lot of back, had a lot of quad. I've always found these things easier to develop, but a lot of it had to do with just leverage issues I ran into and using poor range of motion too much, right? Not enough wide grip benching because I focused on close grip, but then doing, a lot of tricep extensions that didn't put me into stretch positions, because ultimately I would run into shoulder problems. But I think I finally got to a point where eventually I realized, look, the key is, guys, you just have to get stacked. You have to work on the wider grip benching. You can't just close grip forever. You've got to let shoulders heal. We need healthy shoulders. And that got me up to 365 finally, after being problems keep resetting back into the low 300s. Now my goal is to keep working towards 405, right? Using these other approaches. But it's because I think the biggest reason is I stopped doing things that were hurting my shoulders. Let my shoulders heal and then did wider grip benching, which I could do. And lo and behold, my pecs got bigger. Focused almost exclusively on pause work, cut out the touch and go benching. Okay? And actually built my pecs. My bench finally climbed into the 350 plus range at that point. Finally. Right? In my late 40s. Now I'm continuing to work it forward, but still realizing I need more chest. I need more tricep. I have to get these things bigger. It's not that I didn't train them before, I just didn't train them correctly. Now I'm having to make up for that. I mean, look at what you see me having to do here, right? Look at the range of motion I'm using. And it's flat back. But the chest stretch and pump is tremendous. Now, people will then say, but will that carry over? Will it carry over even to this? But even then, what happens if I build all those areas up and I get really strong at this? Well, if I really want to do the arching and all that again, I can go back over to it. I can put a belt, I can put wrist straps on, I can arch. I can find the grip I can lift the most weight at. I can cut the range of motion, sure. This will all carry over. But we don't need to be training that way. And yes, I'm approaching this very similar to the way a bodybuilder would. Why? Because muscle mass equals strength potential. And how do we build muscle? Or lengthen positions? How do we maintain shoulder health? How do we maintain joint health? How do we maintain these things? Having good mobility. We have to train these stretched positions. And we have to get that all around strong. Okay, we're going to last longer in the game. We're going to last longer in the game. And I've done really well with the lower body and back stuff, right? You know, I've had crazy good longevity and great numbers. And I'm now having to do that with the bench. Having to do the same things. Going, okay, I haven't had the same longevity with my shoulders. And I still never had the impressive bench, right? I need to be benching over 400 for it to be on par with my deadlifting. So this is part of what I'm doing here now, guys. It's focusing on building muscle. And we have to get the tension. We have to get the correct tensions to do that. And that means range of motion. And it means range of motion for the pecs, range of motion for the triceps, building shoulder mobility so we can build all of that area more effectively and more completely to stabilize everything. Okay? It all matters. Again, the thing that I've been saying for a long time, of course, a bigger muscle has more strength potential. But then we started asking, well, how do we build a bigger muscle? I mean, the evidence is pretty clear at this point regarding these stretch positions. People want to talk about time under tension. What about the tension time in those stretch positions? Once you start pausing in those positions, once you put more emphasis in those positions. Okay? That's what's going to really build the mobility, and that mobility really gives us the potential to hypertrophy stuff in a healthy way. Okay? To do it in a healthy way that's going to keep us in the game longer. Right? We should be strong well into the last days of our lives. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.